Good evening. Welcome to the Girls Township Community Recreation Commission meeting, March 24th, 2016. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I need a motion to approve tonight's agenda, or excuse me, are there any additions, deletions to the agenda? Ms. Helena.
I make a motion to move the new business, which is item 9, to just behind the public comment.
All right, 4A.
4A.
Second, please.
I'll second.
Mike Swale, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, any other additions, deletions, or changes? I need a motion to approve tonight's amended agenda.
Second.
Okay, so we got what?
I got
Ethel motion to approve. Second for Helene.
Second.
Okay, and all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Approval of the minutes from, is this correct, January 22nd, 2016. Are there any additions, deletions, or otherwise a motion to approve? Motion, anyone?
Approve.
Ethel, second.
Second.
Helena, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, so the public hearing for the Recreation Master Plan. Oh, excuse me, public comment. Any non-agenda items, please? Mr. Wally. Good afternoon, good evening. How are you tonight?
If I see somebody beat me to putting that up there, how do we make that happen? Aha. I got 3 minutes?
Please.
Thank you. I have 3 minutes to sell all of you a ticket to the steak dinner on April 2nd. If every one of you bought one ticket, we would sell 20 tickets tonight. If every one of you would contact 10 of your friends, you might sell 2 or 3 of them to each. We're going to have a great steak dinner. You know how I do a steak dinner. There's no secrets here. Baked potato, corn on the cob, April 2nd. I may have to glue them on, but we'll have corn on the cob, baked beans, rolls. The kids will have hot dog dinners just like we did at the chili contest. And by the way, the chili contest did round us up about $600.
Wow.
So I'm pretty proud of that. Gotta say, I didn't see any of you here. Shame, shame. I need your help, guys. I'm trying to help you repay a debt. I know. You sold 5, and I give Ethel credit for that. But we need some help. You need some help. I want to know what your plan is besides this steak roast. We're going to have a good time. We have to have the ticket sales done by the 31st so that I can order sufficient steaks in order to satisfy this hopeful crowd. You can get tickets from me. You can get tickets from Chief Porcerelli. You can get tickets from Brandy. Tickets from Gail or Carol. Please get tickets. Please let me know by the 31st what you can do to help. I put out an email today. Put out 60 emails. In 2 hours, I sold 10 tickets. Just to friends. I know this can be done. I know you got 60 friends. So if you did the same thing, it would help our cause, okay? I love your presence at the event. I have a couple other committees that are always hands-on. Nothing sells your committee better than showing all of your faces at an event like this. It will help your committee, not only financially, but it will get you a public presence with people that eat there. Let's get it done. Anybody here would like to have tickets, raise your hands. I have packets of 10 available.
I'll take one.
Okay, I'll have 3. and I don't want to interrupt your meeting, but I will walk up quietly and give them to you, okay?
All right, thanks, Wally.
Please, let's see you at the event, and let's sell tickets.
Questions for Wally?
Well, that is a fundraiser to help pay off the rink. Yeah.
Yes.
Good. No, I heard you. Just want to confirm.
And, you know, when we get this done, if we sell and make $1,000, we're going to be $1,600 into repaying $38,000, folks. I didn't vote that. You did. You got to help us. Everybody's watching. Please get ready. Support this event.
All right, any other public comment? Non-agenda items. All right. Public hearing, rec master plan. Brandy, you want to introduce Brian, or how do you want to handle it? All right, Mr. Borden.
May.
Can't see the clock up here.
Make sure they pay you, too. Transactions
Oh, so yeah, something for you.
transactions are on camera, guys.
Don't take it if you don't want to.
I'll take one.
All right, Mr. Borden, what do you have for us?
Well, Mr. Chair, it is
Pressure, Wally, pressure.
been about 5 years since I was last here. Imagine that. So we're at our point of our 5-year rec plan update. I believe this is the 4th rec plan that I have helped you with. I should maybe take one step back. I do have some new faces. I think you've all seen me through this process, but Brian Borden, LSL Planning, Township Planning Consultant. With me tonight, Josh Penn. Josh has actually contributed quite a bit to your
Name
current...
again real slowly for you.
Josh Penn.
Peck.
Penn. P-E-N-N.
Good, thank you.
And the reality is, you know that I don't usually do the heavy lifting in these projects. I'm just the eye candy that gets to come out and present to you. So really, Brandy and Josh did all of the hard work on this, plus you all and the public, obviously, too. We have a decent turnout here tonight. I don't know if that's for our item or something else, but always appreciative. I know rec plans always, we've had a lot of good public input over the years, and this plan was no exception. So I don't have a fancy presentation for you tonight. I don't know that I can keep it to 3 minutes like Wally did, but I may go a little over. But I will at least kind of just run through real quickly some of our process. So as I noted up front, this is your 5-year update. The 5 years is dictated by the state of Michigan. They set forth some items in terms of format content that have to be included in your plan, and then you have to have a new plan on file with them as approved through your township board every 5 years to qualify for state grant funding. So it is an important document that we make sure that we keep current, and we make sure that we keep it on file with the state so that you have the opportunity to apply for some grant funding. State grant funding is not the only fund source you can use, but it certainly is a big one, and it's an important one. And obviously most other things that you would want to go after grant-wise, they will want that to be based on a sound plan that has obtained quite a bit of public input as well. So whether it's through the state or not, Brandy, I think will find this document very helpful for the next 5 years. One thing I always like to stress at this point, as Grozil wants to do, and one of the reasons I really like working on rec plans with you guys, is you always go above and beyond on public input. State requires that you have at least 2 sessions minimum, one of which can be your public hearing. So in essence, you were only required to have had one other public opportunity to comment and provide opinion. You had 3 separate events where we had 5 or 6 different groups of people, residents, athletic associations represented. We had a 30-day window within which this plan has been posted on the website, available at the clerk's office, available at Brandy's office for any resident to take a look at, have the opportunity to review the full document. So ultimately, we want this to be a guide of what the residents want you guys to do. You hear this every month from them. Ideally, we get that all in paper, and we accomplish that through this plan. And over the next 5 years, hopefully you can achieve as many of the tasks that are outlined in here as possible, with an understanding, in all honesty, I tell you this every time too, you will never complete all of the tasks within this plan. It just simply isn't feasible. The reality is we put far more projects in the plan than you could ever accomplish in a 5-year window, with the idea being that it provides some flexibility. Funding source might open up for one type of project but not for another. You may find that in 3 years, something that was a lower priority now is bumped up the list, either via the public or you all that you see as a need for the community. So it is intended to be a flexible document, but ultimately, again, I can't overstate its importance in terms of your ability to obtain funding to help you implement the projects that are contained within this document. I don't really have a lot more to add at this point. The process is the same as it's always been. We update the community description. Not a lot has changed in the last 5 years. We updated the park and rec inventory. You still have a plethora of park and open space in this community. You may recall from the public session we conducted like 2 months ago, well in excess of national standards or recommendations for a community of your size. Your per capita parkland is way above what most other communities have the ability to provide. So you should all take pride in that, and certainly make sure that you maintain that resource and utilize it to the best of your ability as a commission, and then ultimately make sure that the folks that are on TV and behind me here tonight get the services and the facilities that they deserve as well. So very proud of the document. I don't have much more to add at this point. Certainly happy to take any specific questions you may have. We do have the full draft on the computer here in front of you, so I can certainly jump to a section or a map if there's something that you'd like me to highlight or that you have a question
Anything
on.
significant from the public came in the last 30 days?
I don't believe so. We've had a few edits that were incorporated that came through Brandy.
Yep, I had probably a handful of people who emailed or called with some suggestions. Some had already caught when we were going through, and then a couple we looked into to make sure that we were being accurate. And so we've made the changes that the public has asked.
Okay. Any other questions from the commission?
The only thing I would add to, Mr. Chair, is we did have the opportunity, given a little extra time and enough budget left over, we did reformat the document. So this new document that you all have the old document was just a Word version. It really didn't lay out that well.
Pretty fresh.
This is just the tables, the layout, the flow of the whole document, especially if you get into a hard copy and you can flip back and forth. Graphically, it just presents itself much better, either in hard copy or as posted on your website. Because I think once adopted, this will be a document that you want to keep on the website so the residents can always have continuous access to it as well.
Yeah, it looks good. Looks appealing. Any questions?
Yeah, it's not a question, but just a comment. Shortly after we had the previous hearings and we were well into editing and reviewing and et cetera, I read some articles about the rising interest in croquet and bocce ball. And those struck me as two kind of things with of a sense of our community. And the article said it was popular from the youngest to the oldest. So I called Brandy to see about that, and she said the language in there is welcoming to that kind of thing. If in the next 5 years somebody says, I want a croquet thing out there by the swimming pool or something,
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's a good segue into something I should have added to is there's enough flexibility in the document to not only, you can take what might be written as a year 5 task and do it in year 1, but also if something new pops up, there's enough there to, I guess it's general enough in some instances that you can make sure that it would apply and would support that if it's what the community wants. But there's also a number of tasks that are very specific and pointed to help keep you all and keep Brandy on task with again what we got from the public input and what we think. What we believe the community wants to see out of REC.
As long as everybody understands, like I said, possible to do everything in there. It's guideline. This is everybody's input from the public we addressed, right, and get it in there. Any other comments?
Nope.
Randy?
You just have to open it up for public comment.
You have any public comment about the master plan? No public comment. All right, so I guess we can go to our vote.
No, you have to close the public comment
Close the public comment.
or public hearing.
All right. Close the public hearing. That's complete now.
You reopen the CRC meeting.
We reopen it.
Formality.
With a motion.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I would like to make a motion to approve the Grosse Ile Township Community Recreation Commission resolution of endorsement for the Parks and Recreation Master Plan.
I'll
You can
second.
make that the motion, and then you can read this afterwards.
So I make that as a motion.
All right, second.
Second.
Leah. All right, want to continue and explain a little more about it, please, Mike?
So for discussion, that is as follows. Whereas development of adequate parks and recreation facilities requires a proactive plan based on a combination of community input, analysis of existing conditions, analysis of the basic needs for current and future residents, park and recreation planning expertise, as well as prioritize improvements, programs, and potential funding opportunities. And whereas the foundation of the plan is established with the action program consisting of overall goals and supporting objectives and specific action program for the next 5 years. And whereas the plan provides recommendations for park and recreation facilities and recreation programming with a prioritized list of capital improvements for the next 5 years. And whereas the Grosse Ile Township Community Recreation Commission, township staff, along with the assistance of LSL Planning, Inc., has prepared the Grosse Ile Township Parks and Recreation Master Plan, which includes all the above elements. And whereas said plan is represented to meet the requirements of the Michigan Department of Natural Resources, thereby making the township eligible for state and federal grants administered by the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. And whereas Grosse Ile followed planning process that contained public involvement, including focus group meetings and public workshops with stakeholders and recreation providers for the purpose of soliciting community input on said plan. And whereas a public hearing was held by the Community Recreation Commission on the final draft March 24th, 2016. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Grosse Ile Township Community Recreation Commission hereby endorses and recommends to the Township Board adoption of the Grosse Ile Township Parks and Recreation Master Plan. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Good job.
Good job.
Wow.
Any discussions? Any questions? All right, we're going to do a roll call vote. Mike Swales, how say you?
Yay.
Elena? Oh, I say yes.
I say yes, Lee.
Ann?
Yes.
Ethel?
Yes.
Ellie, I guess we can put you in there. I mean, I don't think you're a non-voting member, but go ahead.
Sure.
Randy? And you're not either.
Darn it.
All right, so motion passes. All right, good job. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, and thanks to the public of Grosse Ile for your input.
Well done by all of you. Obviously, we can't do this alone.
Well done by LSL. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I really
All right,
appreciate
thanks.
that. Not to be rude, Mr. Chair, but we're going to scoot.
All right.
We put-
All right, enjoy your evening. All right, chairpersons, Marina, presentation Marina edition. Who's representing the Marina for this presentation?
Yep. I was, you have some information in your packet, and I was emailed some of this information from a few of the marina patrons. They were interested in presenting an idea regarding an addition onto the marina by using some of the clean spoils from the airport renovation. So that's all set up for you, and
Correct. I just wanted to bring it to your attention that you had John Allen, Knutson Drive. Also Doc Holder at Marina.
Here one?
No, Predicts. But it was brought to my attention that, I guess, a couple years ago, you guys took out a lot of concrete down here that could have been added to the marina. You know, it's going to benefit from the Wayne County to stabilize their road right there, because there is just a steep embankment all the way down there. And you can basically, on the drawing I sent you, fill a 640 foot by 80 which is another win for you guys for winter storage in the winter to make more money. So I'm not sure who's doing the airport job, but they would be the one that would want to apply for the permit to dump down there for the fill. And that way the contractor will actually save money. He won't have to truck it off the Free Bridge, which will actually end up saving the Free Bridge too.
Thinking about making more land, basically.
Correct. It's actually the township's marina. So the township would have to go ask for the permits to,
Through DEQ.
right, to stabilize the land down there. And you're doing them a favor, and the same thing, you're actually adding, the fish habitat and everything. Are you guys controlling of Dunbar and Sullivan job? I guess there's a grant out there for $2 million or something like that
Are you familiar with that?
Which grant?
for stabilizing Dunbar and Sullivan, cleaning it up. No, I just caught. It was actually in the Canadian paper.
Huh.
No.
Are you familiar at all with the history with the rec department that we did have like a permit with the DEQ to transient dockage along that whole frontage? The DEQ would not allow us to have any kind of water or electrical hookups for any kind of pier things. We actually held that permit for quite a few years. It ended up expiring, but we had some public input about actually fish hatcheries and stuff like this, and that's why we could never get anything basically built there. And we're always looking, I mean, it's a great option, but DEQ would probably be the biggest one, John, Stubman, to see if we get the permits for that.
Correct, but you're going to improve the fishery by adding riffraff for giving them more homes because you're putting in concrete. You're basically putting riffraff in.
Your mic's not on.
Oh. All right. So what other kind of homework have you done then? I mean, do you knew about the airport construction stuff and doing that stuff? Do you know like when they're starting the airport stuff?
I believe it's in April. Because where I work, my contractor actually got the job.
Oh.
So he asked me, hey, do you got any place for all this clean concrete? Because it's going to cost a lot more for the township to truck off Groseal. So in other words, I actually sent an email to all the commodores of the boat clubs if they're looking for a fill.
Okay.
Not sure, before it was really easy to get a fill permit if you lived on the water. Because everybody like East River and West River, they're trying to stabilize the road base from getting washed out from high water.
Okay.
So
how would it work? Can you explain that, or like how?
Someone would have from the township would have to apply for the permit. I guess you had one before.
The build transient dockage, yes, correct.
Right. To fill that, and you'd have to go through the permit process and present a drawing of what your plan was. And once you got the permit, you'd just contact the contractor that's going to be trucking all the concrete and say, I got a better place for you to dump your concrete than taking it to a dump. And obviously the township is paying for the dump fees of that material.
Sounds good. I remember when we did our seawall, we had the same thing, Brandy, and we actually had to make a pit on land. We weren't allowed to even put it in the water, nothing like that. So
that was when you're dredging.
Huh?
That was when you're dredging the bottom.
Right, but we had all the riprap that were the concrete that was there because it wasn't the seawall. There was like all riprap that was still
correct,
there.
but they were considering that basically hazardous, not hazardous, but
right.
bottom mud because
right.
it was already
the
in there.
Right, and,
this your airport's not in the water, so it's clean fill coming in. So.
Well, maybe. I guess Dale would be the lead on this then, really, right? And yourself. I mean, if you put your toe in the water with Dale at all, or?
His suggestion was to bring it to the CRC, have it presented, and then depending on what the CRC opinion was, our thought process was, we could pursue it further to see what their permit process was, if we would be able to. No way, we're not going to put any, we're not going to, you can get a feel for what the DEQ would say or what we'd have to go through, and then we'd have to present it to the township board and they would have to approve it. So it's a little bit of a lengthy process, but I mean, it can be done if we want to pursue it, but it has to start with the CRC. If you're interested, I will look into what it would take. I know they did present us with, I didn't give you all the permitting information, but they did supply that to me. I can look at it and call the DEQ and just see, what the process would be, what we would have to go through to do it, and if it would be feasible for us to do so. I don't know what the fees are. I don't know any of that information. So if the interest is there, I can pursue looking into it and give you my findings, and then we go from there.
All right, so you envision whatever 640 by 8 feet, and then what? And just of what, land?
It'd just be land you could use it for, like you just put your kayak launch ramp down there. There could be extra parking for the kayaks. You could put another...
Picnic areas, whatever you want to have.
Whatever you want to have down there, correct. And then in the wintertime, you could actually use it for more winter storage.
Any questions, John?
Yeah, I have a question. Now, are you envisioning dockage coming off of this, or is it just going to be filled and flat?
For right now, I'd just say fill and flat, but that would be the master plan. Because if you had a need to add extra docks, that would be a different permitting down the road.
In the last master plan, and I'm not sure if it was during that time or if it was a previous one, but there were maps drawn for Water's Edge, and there was additional piers put on there, and then a little gazebo type thing is in the master plan from previous years, and that map is still in the master plan. But I think it takes some research to see if this. Unfortunately, this probably we should have started a long time prior to this, so we could get congruent with the contractors doing it, because they're getting ready to start here next month. I don't know that we can get a permit within a month. I've been told it's very difficult to get contracts or permits for putting fill in the river. I've never done it, so I can't tell you about that. That's just what I've heard. So it could be a 6-month process, it could be a year process, it could be a 2-week process. I have no idea. So that's something that we would, if the CRC is interested, I'd be happy to look into the process and let you know my findings. And then I guess my other question is once the fill's there, what is it going to cost us to pave it or get the area flat?
But that's definitely a question, but
you present that to the contractor. Yeah, you present that to the contractor. You're supplying a place for him to put his fill. His requirement would be to level out with a dozer.
So we're helping him reduce his costs, and they're giving us a larger marina by...
Correct. Yes.
I mean, we won't know. DEQ is going to be the biggest on my block. I don't see why it's not worth a phone call. I don't, to see what the length time or what hoops you got to jump through. Anyone disagree with that? I don't see nothing wrong.
I agree, but I want to ask John a question. I love the idea because I can see how it could be used. But on the sketch, where is the kayak launch now? Is it in that shaded area?
No, it's actually where Grow Road comes down.
Okay, so it's north of the shaded area.
Correct.
Good.
Yeah.
So I see.
Nothing.
What road comes down?
What?
Well, it's
You can't read
You're
it.
talking about
I can't road. What road comes down?
talking about Bellevue.
Bellevue, yeah,
Yeah,
not
sorry.
Grow. Bellevue, yeah, where Bellevue
Wrong
comes
part
out, you're
island.
saying that's where, the launch is kind of parallel with that.
Pretty much so, yeah.
Oh,
I was like, wow, that's really long. If we're going all the way to Grow Road.
Yeah, that's
heck of a deal.
bad people. But we got a whole frontage all the way to that that first house there. That's all our frontage, the golf course.
Just north of the...
Oh, nice.
That's all
Actually,
our frontage.
you have that house too, because was part of Water's Edge at one time, that house.
Yeah, they're deeded or something. Yeah, I don't know. I
Yeah, well, that house didn't come with any water rights because it was just up for sale. I don't know if it sold, but
no,
No dock?
There's a little.
no, it came with a dock
there.
at Water's Edge. Have you bought that house?
All right.
Well, Mr. Chair, just a little bit icy. I think it's a good idea. I think we could ask the director to at least make the first call, whether it's to someone else in the township or the DEQ. They might say, yeah, it's a good idea. They might say what they told us last time, no dumping in the river. So, I think we could at least ask the director to make that call. But you're right, there's nothing in the budget. It's a tough time frame, but it's certainly a good idea.
Any other comments?
Trucks coming across the Free Bridge every day when they...
I would say so, at least. It might be when doing the demo too, they might have 20 to 40 truck coming across. They're a pretty big contract you guys hire, though.
That's what I heard at the board meeting, and that's why I was curious about it.
Well, and this goes down on the trucks.
A lot of trucks coming across that bridge.
We're going to need a new bridge.
Yeah. That's probably not in the budget either.
You know anybody can build a bridge?
I do, matter of fact.
All right. Any other questions for John? All right. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Okay, chairperson's report. The animal shelter. The animal shelter, for the commissioners to know, is they proposed a while back an addition to the animal shelter. They have since then revised it. And what I want to ask, you got the plans here? You guys see this on the second page of the report? And what we want to ask of you guys is to look at this plans and see how it's going to fit into the Centennial Farm area, and come up with some questions that we can ask back to the Tails organization. So we're asking for a little bit of homework on this from everybody in the commission. We got a floor plan, but there's a lot of other details I'm sure that you might want to ask or anything like that too, whatever. Brandy, you got any comments that you want to say about this?
There was several people from the township who went over to the animal shelter and the animal Tails and there was Supervisor Loftus, Trustee Malvesto, Chief Porcerelli, myself, Helena as liaison, Julie, were you at that? Yeah, Julie Cordes, the animal control officer, and some members from Tails were at the meeting, and they presented their information with their layout and the need for an expansion of the animal shelter. That was in February, or the end of January, beginning of February, and then a subcommittee of the township, Chief Dale Riam, myself, Helena, we met briefly and just kind of discussed the layout of the plan and started coming up with some questions that we wanted to ask Tails. And so now we're presenting this information to the CRC. We would like you to review the information. There are several members from Tails in the audience today. If you have any questions right now, I'm sure they'd be more than happy to answer any of those. But if you could get me some questions, our subcommittee will get back together and we will get together with Tails and get some of our questions answered, and then we will at the next CRC meeting bring you our information so the CRC can make a recommendation of what we would like to do with the expansion. The expansion, I guess, affects the recreation department in the sense of land. The additional expenses of operating or running would be taken over either by Tails or the police department. So the extra expenses with a larger building really does not affect our budget, and it has nothing to do with the recreation. Our concerns, or what we need to be concerned with, is the actual property, or the loss of some property, or redoing some of the paddocks.
The fit, the look, everything.
Yeah, the fit and parking and the facility needs, and the facility being the farm. So those are questions and concerns that we would need to talk about and get answered.
Oh, any questions about what we ask?
Please send those questions to you.
Yes, please send them to me. If you could do that within the next 2 weeks so we could get a meeting together with our subcommittee, and then we can meet with Tails.
Brandy, do you just want us to write them down and submit them?
You can email them to me or call me if you don't want to email
Call, yeah, because you might want to have something might lead into something else if you want to. Or feel free to call someone else from Tails too. Got clarification or something. That's it.
I have larger detailed maps if anyone would like to look at them during the meeting or after. I couldn't email these to you, so I do have them for you to look at, and if you have any questions, again, we can get those answered.
So, yep. So otherwise, I mean, it's a great idea. It's always great to see something improve and stuff like that, but just got to make sure we cover all of our bases and answer everybody's questions, okay? All right. right, we have an announcement about some CRC commissioners. Mr. Swales, who's here tonight, this is going to be his last meeting fulfilling his term. We also have term limit with John Conroy and Bill Moreau, who are not going to extend their terms either. So I'd like to, thank you, Mike, for your time served to the community. I want to tell John and Bill, thank you so much for your time and efforts through the years. And we appreciate everything you have done for recreation and for Girls Zeal, and we wish you nothing but the best. Thank you so much. We then now have some interviews. We've got to have an interview committee together. I need a couple volunteers that would like to sit in, and we have applications that were submitted. We need to vet the people, and so I want to know if we got a couple people that want to be in the interview process.
I would.
I'll help.
And just a couple, because we can't have a quorum. So.
Okay.
All right, so Leah and Ann.
How about a backup, just in case something happens?
Well, Ann, you want to be a backup?
Sure.
So then we'll start vetting people. If you would like to join the CRC, please go down to Township Hall, fill out an application, and we will get back to you as soon as possible.
We'd like to start doing the interviews so we can get the new members on as soon as possible.
Correct.
And we have 4 applicants currently.
All right.
You have to just pick a date to do it.
Right. Pick a date to meet,
Spread out the interview applications.
Well, I'd like to get them all in one day, get them one after another, If we start doing this over at nights, we'll be, pick a day and try to get that done. We could go in a small conference room or something like that, whatever, like we did in years past. All right, any questions about that? All right, that's it for me, Director General Brandy. What do you got for us?
The restaurant over at Water's Edge, Smokies, they've been working very diligently remodeling the facility. They're doing a lot of work in there, and it's looking really nice. There's a lot of dust in there right now, but they've redid tables and chairs and new ceilings and new floorings going in, new equipment. So they've just been doing everything from top to bottom. So they're looking at opening the end of April, beginning of May. And they're really looking forward to it, and they're excited. We're excited. We can't wait for it to open, and everyone's calling, and so the excitement is there, and so everything's kind of lining up with the liquor control, the liquor license, and they've done their site interviews. They've interviewed the township, so everything's good to go with that. So it's just a matter of timing. It takes about 6 to 8 weeks to get a liquor license. Once that process is over, and they've passed with flying colors, so they had a really great person to work with, and the process is in motion. So they're on track as far as that goes. They're on track with a renovation, so it's just a matter of time. So we're looking forward to them opening. As you'll also see on the outside, we're getting a facelift. If you'll remember, late last summer, early fall, we had an opportunity to get a new steel roof, metal roof put on the Water's Edge Recreation Building. It was generously donated by Molnar Roofing, and they started installing, I think the beginning, like the second week of February. And so they've had some weather issues and wind issues, and today rain issues. So we're about 3/4 of the way done. They're on the back side of the building right now, and there's a lot of soffits and little air, what are they called? The
Vents.
Vents. Yes, thank you. So there's a lot of cut arounds on the part that they're on right now, but they've been working away, and it's looking really nice. So I just wanted to thank Molnar Roofing again.
Which is like saving us, what, $40,000?
Well, we're getting approximately an $85,000 roof for labor, so it'll end up being right around $40,000 or less. Yeah. So, and a new roof that a shingled roof would cost approximately $35,000 to $40,000 anyways. So, and that's what we had budgeted to do in the next couple of years. So, not only are they donating the services, they are allowing us to do it the payment over multiple budget years
and longer lifespan.
Well, yeah, it's a forever roof. So And then just as presented earlier, the master plan, over the last few months, we've been working very hard to update and really put some detail into the master plan. So I hope everyone has enjoyed reading it, and I hope we get to do a lot of the projects that we have laid out. And I hope it'll open the doors to get some grant opportunities to do more projects than we would be besides just our annual budget. Panels, our spring-summer edition, we are pushing it up a little earlier this year. We're going to start doing, instead of having a fall, winter, spring, we're going to a fall, winter, and then spring-summer catalog. So it is actually at the printers as we speak. They're printing it tonight, and due to the holidays, they'll head to the post office Monday morning. So you should see it in your mailbox very soon. And it'll also be online starting on Monday. The budget, you have in your packet a summary of the budget. Budget process started in January, the end of January. We had public hearings, we had meetings with Supervisor Loftus, the treasurer. The department heads met with them individually and went over our budgets. And then they had a public hearing with the whole township board, and all the departments' budgets were reviewed, and questions were asked and answered, and it was approved by the township board on March 14th. So the highlights you have enclosed are the big line items. If you want a detailed budget, I do have a couple copies of the whole budget. So if there's any area that you would like more detail, I'd be happy to go over that with the board. The biggest highlight, we were able to get a new full-time employee. A full-time maintenance position was added into the budget this year, and the great thing about it is 75% of the budget is coming for this position is budgeted out of the farm. So we will have a maintenance person there 75% of the time of that position, and to do much needed improvements and upgrades at the farm. We have a lot of maintenance projects, and with only having one full-time maintenance person between the marina, the golf course, the farm, and all the projects that we have to do, it's just one person can't do it all, and we have some part-time people, and so now having another dedicated full-time employee in the maintenance area is just going to be a godsend for us, and we're really looking forward to getting on a schedule and really paying attention to the areas that is much needed and much overdue.
Union or non-union?
It's union.
And did you say this person will be at the farm a lot?
Yes, the budget-wise, 75% of their budget, or to pay for the person, 75% comes out of the farm budget, and the other 25% will come out of recreation. So they'll do multiple things, but a majority of their time will be at the farm.
Oh, okay.
So how is your hiring process going to work for a union employee? Is it going to be anything different than what we're used to?
They have to, the position will open internally first. I believe it has to be posted for 5 days, so any internal employees would have the opportunity to apply. If no one is interested, or if the right candidate is not in a pool, then we'll post the position outside, and then we'll select candidates, interview them, and then do the hiring process.
So once, let's say, if someone currently employed, they decide to pass on it, we hire for someone outside, can that said employee still get bumped out of there, the new employee?
You mean once they're hired?
Mm-hmm.
No.
They're going to be...
You mean if someone else wanted the position, can they bump them?
Yeah,
No.
someone at the airport change their mind a year later and they want to bump that employee out. Okay.
Nope. And then just as you may have noticed on the front cover of the master plan it says Grosedale Recreation. That's a new logo that we've come up with that we're going to start using and start branding our department. And then I just wanted to echo Walt's sentiments on the three trustees or committee members that are stepping down. I really appreciated the three gentlemen, John, Bill, and Mike. I appreciate you welcoming me and helping me through my first almost 2 years. So just thank you. I appreciate your help and all your hard work that you've dedicated to the CRC. Prior to me, we will miss all three of you gentlemen.
All right, any questions for Brandy? Thank you, Brandy.
You're welcome.
Any old business? All right, subcommittee updates. Leah, open space and greenways. Got any updates?
Yeah, I've got one. Just let me find it with everything that's here. Yes, the Open Space Greenways Committee would like everybody to wants to remind everybody that the red oak leaf spring observation is beginning. We are a high-risk period. It's a high-risk period from April 15th to July 15th, where wounding red oak trees make them highly susceptible to overland infections. Sap beetles are flying during this time and are attracted to fresh wounds, including those created by pruning. Residents should not prune or otherwise damage red oak trees during this time. If trees are wounded, the latex paint or other wound dressing should be applied immediately. And they're concerned about infected wood being transported to other places. So we are urging on the open space properties, we have identified such wounded trees with big blue dots. So if you're walking in any of the open space areas and see a blue dot, that's a tree that the infection has begun. And during this time right now, it's important for all the residents of the island to be checking if they have red oaks. I know at my church, the Groesville Presbyterian, there are a couple of them right out in our front yard, and I live at Island Estate condominiums, and I think I counted 5 or 6 of them at the south end of our property. And the other thing that's interesting with them is maples are often growing right in the same territory. And I didn't realize how much maple trees and oak trees look alike when the wind's blowing until I started checking out. Our golf course has a good, well, I lost count at about 9 because I was actually golfing and I wasn't, I shouldn't have even been doing it. So it is a big concern. We've lost enough trees on this island, I think, and the Open Space Commission is working with the forestry and the department. We got a handle on it. We're setting a standard for how to stop this disease from spreading like the other ones have throughout Michigan and Ohio and et cetera. So that's the main thing I wanted to bring to everybody from the open space.
Any questions for Leah? All right, thank you, Leah. Mr. Swales, your last report for the marina?
So, Mr. Chair, I do not have a report, but I just want to state that as spring is here, and Water's Edge Marina does have deep water and large wells, and I want to remind the public that there are wells open, and please contact the Recreation Director to get a well. A lot of the private clubs on the island do not have any large docks, and Water's Edge does have large docks available. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Mike? Thank you. Centennial Farm, Helene, anything you would like to add?
Yes. I think the Centennial Farm is a big topic today. I just want to clear something up, and we have a lot of Tails people here, so if I make a mistake, will you tell me? I want everybody to know that the animal shelter is part of the Groesville Township. It is stewarded by Tails, which is a private nonprofit group. So together they work together. So really it is the police department, but the Tails, which is a private volunteer group, are the people that take care of the animals and
Raise all the money.
do all volunteer. They do all the fundraising, and together they want to add this on just to take care of all the pets. So if everybody understands that. I don't know if anybody understood that before. It's not just Tails, it's both of them together. I did talk today on the phone with some Tails Board of Directors. On April 30th, they're having a 5K fun run with the dogs. You can bring your own dog. It's a 1-mile walk. You don't have to bring a dog.
Start at the farm, I take it?
It's at the Centennial Farm, where it starts. As usual, they have a booth at the Island Fest that has an auction. That's all for fundraising. And then June 12th, this is a new event. There's going to be an Island Rods and Classic Cars show. It's going to be at the airport hangar. There's going to be prizes. There's going to be canine units, mounted police, maybe the radio station, and a food vendor. They're going to hand out a map of the island for the cruise, for the classic cruise also. Maps. So you're supposed to save those dates. Did I miss something?
Can I ask you on April 2nd for the fun run.
30th.
30th.
April 30th is the 5K. This is a recurring annual event.
What's the time?
What time? 9 a.m.
Thank you.
I can have your notes, give to Leah.
Oh, you can't read my writing.
She wants dates.
That's it.
She wants dates.
If anybody has questions, you can ask me and I'll find the answer.
All right, any questions for Helena? All right, thank you, Helena. All right, Greg's absent. Miss Yops. Senior
Thank you,
Citizen
Walter.
Report.
First off, I want to thank the Township Board for approving Walter's Ketcher as our chairperson for the Recreation Commission. Walter is truly an asset to the commission and the community, and I hope people appreciate him. And I'd like to thank Bill Morrow for all the years on the Recreation Commission with his golf committee and worker and volunteer. He was a volunteer extraordinaire. And also Mr. Swales and Mr. Conroy for their service. And next, I want to thank Walt Posiak, our trustee, for his ideas and fundraisers to help pay for the $38,000 on the rink at Water's Edge. Your support, Wally, is appreciated. And the next event is the steak roast. And I want to remind you about the school millage. It's on the ballot May the 3rd. Absentee ballots are available at the clerk's office at the Township Hall. And then I write a column on the Recreation Department activities each month for the Trenton Trib. It had to be in by March the 10th, and when I wrote the article, the opening of Smokies on the River was said to be about the 1st of April. But due to circumstances, the opening has been pushed forward, and no positive date, but probably in May. And anticipation for the opening is high, so we wait. Senior Club meetings on the second Tuesday of each month. We're doing short reviews on Michigan and Michigan businesses that began in Michigan and their fame. For an example, is Saunders and their famous Bumpy Cake. And the St. Patrick's Day luncheon was well attended. We had Irish music and lots of prizes. TV Deli did the catering, and the next dinner, I understand, will be sometime in May. The channels will be out shortly with activities for the department. And we had some comments from some of the people. The tables at the farm activity building are in need of repair, cleaning, replacing, mostly replacing. They receive hard use, as does everything in the building, and this was a request put in for the master plan. So have a blessed Easter. Thank you.
Any questions for Ethel? Thank you, Ethel. Thanks for kind words, too. All right. Ann.
I just have a quick report. This coming week is Easter week, so hopefully people will be getting out to the Playscape and Sunrise Park and enjoy both of those parks. Thank you.
Any questions for Ann? Thank you, Ann. Ms. Snyder, you have anything to report?
Yeah, so the Rock CF Half Marathon 5K was this weekend, and while it wasn't the whole entire school that put on the run, it always goes well because of the participation from the students, both running it and working water stations and marshalling. Senior Mike Wachowski went to states individually for wrestling this year, and the boys basketball team were district champs. The spring play is a lighter shade of noir. I don't have all the details on it, but it should be pretty good actually. Spring break started today, and the crew team leaves for spring training tomorrow morning I have to get up at like 5 tomorrow morning in Marietta, Ohio. The bottle can drive is April 9th, so please save me your cans.
Okay, I will.
Please give me a reason to come up to your house every day, or for that whole entire day, rather. And then the spring dinner dance, another thing that the crew team puts on, is April 23rd. There's dinner, a silent auction, a live auction. Tickets are $60 per person, and you can visit girowing.com for additional information.
Any questions for Natalie? Thank you, Natalie. All right, any discussion items? Extended public comment. Mr. Posiak. Going to start our meeting and end it.
Well, I hope not.
I do have
I'd like to see you back next month. I sat and listened to the presentation about the idea at the marina, and I thought perhaps I could help everybody by reading a letter that Mike Duker put out today. Groseal Municipal Airport is extending an invitation to you to attend an informal informational meeting on April 7th, during which information will be presented and questions answered on the upcoming runway reconstruction at the Groseal Airport. In general, the project consists of removing and replacing the airport's primary runway, 0422. New drainage, electrical, lighting, and instrumentation will also be installed during the course of the project. The runway length will remain the same, and the width is being reduced by 25 feet. The existing pavement and all underlying pavement from the Navy will be removed. The majority of the project, this is important because of the presentation earlier, and I'll tell you why. The majority of the project, 95%, is being funded through state and federal grants. The remaining funds, 5%, will come from non-tax generated revenues from the airport and Commerce Park operations, which means that the township residents pay nothing for this. This is a completely free to the township. There's no increase in taxes or no assessments in general.
Good.
Total project length is planned not to exceed 175 calendar days. The meeting is at 6 o'clock on the 7th, and it'll be right here in this room. And the reason that I think it's important to remember this is that, number one, I was involved in the gazebo project at a couple of master plans ago, and MDEQ is not your big obstacle. It's the Army Corps of Engineers. There just won't be enough time. I hate to predict it that way. It wouldn't be enough time to implement this idea if you could, but implementing it doesn't save the township anything. It saves the guy from trucking it away, which he's already gotten the price to pay per load. So he would make more money dumping it on the edge of our shore. So there was an advantage to that contractor. There may be an advantage to the township, but we just frankly don't have the time to get into this time. So just for information's sakes. Okay? That's good information. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Any other additional comments? Yes.
Hi, I'm Roberta Hall. I'm on the board of directors of TAILS, and I wanted to thank the commission and Brandy for taking time tonight to present our plan. We think it's a good plan. If you were around 20 years ago when TAILS was instituted, you know that we took, along with the township, an old horse barn and converted it into an animal shelter. So we had not a lot to work with, but did a fairly good job. But again, that was almost 20 years ago. Standards in animal care have changed, and through the years we've discovered that there's some real issues with the layout of the shelter, safety-wise and health-wise, that this addition hopefully will fix. The biggest thing I wanted to tell you is that this addition would be fully funded. There would be no taxpayer money going into the addition. TAILS has raised enough money that we can move forward with the build. We have a lot of people waiting in the wings to even get us more money, and we've got some great events. So this would be a fully funded addition.
Nice problem to have.
Yeah, really. The other, I understand there might be a little issue with the space and what we're asking for square footage wise. It's going to double the size of the shelter, but then you add a little buffer space around that. And we're asking for, I think it's about totally 6,000 square feet. Well, that actually is just a little over a tenth of an acre. So you're not talking about a whole heck of a lot of space. And I invite you all to come out to the farm and just look at where our shelter building is and the direction that we would like to go. And I think you'll see that there's quite a bit of land there. It has some drainage issues that maybe we can work on together. I think it's nothing that we can't overcome. And for the good of the township, it would be a really great project. Thanks.
Thank you.
And I would encourage you, you guys got the map, but to go to TAILS and just walk the property too. It's a lot better to see it visual too. All right, any other public comment? All right, bringing it back home. Mike, well, I'm going to save you for last. Natalie, any closing comments?
Nope.
Ethel, anything to add?
Thank you.
Ann?
Yes, I noticed there is a flyer on the table there for the Kiwanis All Island Cleanup, which will be April the 9th from 9 to 12. People will meet at Northridge Church at 9, and then you'll be given like an area to clean up with. Bring gloves, work shoes. You can pre-register at grosealkiwanis.org, and then they serve pizza and pop at noon.
And there
So
should be a
please-
rain date, too.
Usually it would be the next day, so it's probably like April 10th. But usually it's a next day. And so if people can come out April 9th for the island cleanup, that would be appreciated.
All right, thank you. Leah, anything you want to add?
Yes, for all of the dancers of any type who live on Grosse Ile and the Downriver area, I'm a docent at the Detroit Institute of Arts, and we have a new special exhibit that is our exhibit. It's pulled together by a curator from our Detroit Institute of Arts, and it includes everything from classical ballet to bebop to Native American dance to Mexican dance to you name it, it's international. The artworks are spectacular. The entrance piece is one that has not been up. We own it. It's a huge painting of a cubist painting of dancers. And it is a delight. It's so great to just see it. It's worth it just to see that one. But the works come from all over the United States, and we'd love to have as many people get down there as they can. It's free. It's not free. There is an extra cost, but it's free membership. If you go to the museum as a Wayne County resident and can prove that, it's free admission to the museum, but you have to pay a little extra. I don't know what it is. It varies for age and children.
Thank you. Brandy, anything to add?
Just hope everyone has a wonderful holiday weekend.
All right. Helena? Mr. Swales, anything you'd like to add?
Sure, I do want to say that I have enjoyed working with you all, Chair, and Brandon, the commission, the great commission. Grosse Ile has great recreation for everyone. It's a wonderful place to live and play, and this commission does great work. And especially to John and Bill. I mean, Bill told me he was volunteering when I was graduating high school, so Bill's got a lot of time in this. So thank you again.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. All right, couple of questions. Brandy, how did our Easter egg hunt go?
It was great. We had a little bit of cold weather, but I know a lot of my professional friends who are doing their egg hunts tomorrow and the next day are, I know, like Oakland County, they do a big marshmallow drop, and they've had to cancel theirs for tomorrow because the field where they drop the marshmallows is just underwater. So unfortunately, they're going to have to do like a drive-through process. They're going to still give out all the goodie bags, but unfortunately, they're not going to be able to do the drop. So cold was better than wet, absolutely. So we had 50 kids in each session. We did it a little different this year. When we put the brochure together back in July and August, thinking about Easter being in March, we're like, oh my gosh, there could be 3 feet of snow. Where are we going to be able to move enough snow and have enough parking? And, because normally we'll have anywhere from 100 to 150 kids. So we decided to do it at the farm where we knew we had some parking, and we did 2 sessions of 50 kids. So we had 50 kids in each session, and then family members, and we did a brunch, and they did the egg hunt, and it was so awesome because all the kids, instead of getting like a few eggs, they just had buckets full of eggs, and so we used the same amount of eggs but with a
So
smaller
it was actually better than like
it went really well. Everyone came up and said we need to do it like this every year. Only one person said they wanted it back at Water's Edge, but everybody else loved it at the farm. And nobody wasn't there. But yeah, the food was great. We had Elizabeth Perks on Jefferson, and they were so gracious. They donated ice cream for everyone and coffee, and it was wonderful. Everyone loved it. So I just want to put a little plug out for Elizabeth Perks. They're back open for the season, and they were very, very generous. So please stop by and thank them and buy an ice cream cone.
All right, excellent.
Does anybody know if the Wayne County drop is tomorrow at Elizabeth Park?
Is that tomorrow or Saturday?
No, I don't. I mean,
On Good Friday. It's usually Good Friday.
Is it at?
It's usually at Elizabeth Park.
Usually it's Elizabeth Park.
Thanks.
All right. 8:43, need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn this meeting, Mr. Chair.
Mike, for his last time, and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Please volunteer.